What really makes us better people is our capacity to question the status quo to achieve positive change. If you are seeking to adopt new habits, to learn about a kind lifestyle, low-waste living, and speaking up for justice, you have come to the right place. Together, we will make the switch that will light up this world. I'm Morgan, and I'm happy to welcome you on this journey. What's up, beautiful souls? Welcome to this new episode of the Positive Switch podcast. Today I just felt like standing to talk to you. I want to talk about this phrase that some of us might have already heard, which goes something like, it doesn't take anything away from a human to be kind to an animal, or to be kind to animals. And I just wanted to base my talk today around this particular quote, in which different aspects we could look at this quote and what can we learn from it. So I think in order to be vegan, you don't necessarily have to be kind to animals or have compassion for them, empathy for them, or love them. You don't have to be an animal lover to be vegan, and I think I already explained this more deeply in an episode of my podcast. But what it basically means, and even through this quote, is that it doesn't take anything away from you to leave animals alone, to leave them, to let them be, to let them live like they wish, without any oppression, without abusing them, without paying for them to be bred into existence arbitrarily. It's a hard word to pronounce. To be enslaved, to be abused, to be misused, treated like products and murdered for us to extort something from them. So when you're paying for animal abuse, it doesn't take anything away from you either, but it definitely takes something away from those animals. It takes indeed everything away from them. They don't have any rights granted. They don't have a say in their fate. They cannot choose in which conditions they will be treated and raised. They don't get to choose if they keep their children. So they really have nothing. So when we're not vegan, it does actually take something away from us. It takes away from us our humanity, because why is it so deeply embedded in our values that we should respect each other, and that our freedom stops where the freedom of someone else begins? Why doesn't it apply to animals? Why would we have to just restrain this circle to our own species? Why wouldn't we cross the borders and actually apply this saying to the other species who cohabit with us on this planet? So in the phrase, it doesn't take anything away from a human to be kind to an animal, well, in that sense, what we hear very often from people who are not properly informed about, first, the difference between veganism and a plant-based diet, with all this ignorance, without being properly informed, those people have the misconception that living a vegan lifestyle, having a plant-based, whole food plant-based diet is restrictive, which it isn't true. It couldn't be further from the reality. If anything, it's more diverse than any other diet, because You have the chance to really just hop on the train, hop on the rainbow train, and you might discover foods that you probably never would have discovered if you remained in an omnivore diet, lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. And what I forgot to say, what I wanted to focus on in the previous point that I made is that being omnivore, technically it doesn't take anything away from you not to be vegan, but it actually does, because it takes, like I said, this humanity away from you, but it also affects not only yourself, but it affects your health, it affects your family. If your health actually worsens, it affects your environment. So our decisions have such a great impact, and they can change so much, not only in our lives but also in other people's lives, and they can change a whole life when we consider the animals. So that's why, yeah, by logic, being vegan is the only way that you're going to stop abusing animals consciously, because you're making informed decisions, conscious decisions about not harming animals. In which way, what you could potentially lose from becoming vegan is friends. Now, what I would say here is just, if anyone leaves your friend circle because of you becoming vegan, because of you deciding to do the right thing for billions of animals on this planet, if someone decides to leave your friend circle because of you making an ethical choice that prevents so many negative impacts on the planet, on people and on animals, then I think you might be better off without this person in your life. Some people, many people actually, might feel like when going vegan, we're losing something. And I think it's mostly related to the fact that we're so convinced to say things like my bacon, my eggs, my piece of meat. And with those words, we just convince ourselves that animals, their bodies and their secretions belong to us, which they will never, because they only belong to them. Their bodies, their flesh, their secretions, their children, their life belong to them from the very first seconds they are born on this planet, from the very first seconds, their heartbeat, their breathing, everything that's on them belongs to them. And we have no right to take anything away from them. We don't lose anything in the process of becoming vegan because, and I think above all, we give so much back. So it's actually it's a decision that's going to enrich your life in so many ways. You're going to be so much richer from this choice, because it's going to open so many doors. It's going to give you a different perspective on life and a different perspective also on human beings. It's going to make you so much more aware about everything that's going around you. It's going to make you so much less self-centered and more open and focused on the whole, on the entirety of this planet, on the rights of any living sentient beings on this planet. But yeah, we give so much back when we become vegan, and I think that's just, it's the logical and the most natural consequence. because think about it, we've taken so much away from all these animals, the billions of animals that we've put in misery, that we have abused. We've taken their lives. So when we become vegan, it's just the least we can do. We all, I don't know how to pronounce this word, OWE, we owe them to give them, well, to actually, sorry, let me go back to the last sentence. We owe so much to these animals because we've taken their rights, their lives, and their children away from them. We owe them to give the freedom to the next generations of animals who will be bred. We owe them to give the freedom that they didn't have. We owe them to fight for their siblings so that they get the rights that their abused and murdered siblings didn't get. And I know sometimes it can be so disappointing, and you might be desperate and feel hopeless because so many animals right now are dying and are being murdered in slaughterhouses and anywhere in the world, and you feel just so powerless. But trust me, you're not, because everything that you're doing right now is going to impact the future. It's going to leave a positive result for the lives that are being bred into existence right now. So if you were already at a vigil like I was to bear witness to animals who were about to die, you might have felt hopeless because you almost saw the life of those animals getting out of their bodies. You were there a few seconds before this happened, and you felt like there was nothing you could do. But what you were doing there, you were fighting for their siblings so that the next generations won't be murdered, won't be gassed in gas chambers, won't be shredded alive in big macerators, won't have their children taken away from them, and so on. We do owe them a lot because we have to hold people accountable who still are paying for their abuse, because it's not our fault if the world is like it is, but it would be our fault if it remains the same. What we call products is what used to be animal skin, their body parts, their children, their reproductive cycles. But who are we to use animals as products, test supports, or entertainment? Have they given any consent? And even if they could, I'm definitely sure they would never say yes to being abused and put in such a misery and having their reproductive systems being misused and having their children taken away. I think animals never give up on their life, but we force them. We force them to endure so much. We force them to be ours to use. And even if we know that it's deeply and morally wrong. So the conclusion here is that when you become vegan, you don't lose anything. But if you don't, then animals lose everything. Because of our supremacism, they lose everything when we give the final order that will put the knife under their throat. When we give our money, we pay and we say, please do slit their throats. Please do keep abusing animals. Do keep beating them. Do keep abusing their bodies and treating them like products. And I'm sure that most of us are definitely not willing to do that if we become aware of that. And then what remains up to you is if when you become aware, you decide to continue doing this or you decide to stop. And animals lose everything in the process of us not becoming vegan because we think that we're somewhat superior to them and that it justifies abusing them, that it justifies taking their rights away, their lives away, when in fact there is not a single feature that we possess that they don't. If you have any, please contact me. I would love for anyone to tell me what physical feature or sentience, intelligence, what do we have that animals don't? Please tell me. Otherwise I think that would be everything for this episode. I just wanted to explore this quote. And like I said at the beginning, it doesn't take anything away from you to become vegan. You don't have necessarily to be kind to animals. Like some people just don't like children. They don't like to be around children. They don't really like their excitement or any features that they might have, but it doesn't mean that it justifies abusing them. It doesn't mean that it justifies using them as products to meet our needs. It's completely bananas. Like it would never make sense in our society. So take this perspective and put it in the context of animal abuse. If it doesn't justify abusing children and murdering them for any purpose, then why would it justify abusing animals and murdering them at the billions? So I think this episode gave you some sort of insight into what veganism really means. If you have any questions, please just reach out to me. I would love it. I would appreciate if you could subscribe to this podcast and make sure to save the episodes so that you can just listen to them anywhere while on the bus, on the train, in your car, on your bike, or just walking in nature. Take this time to be active and still getting in some sort of information and content. And don't hesitate to share this episode if you found value in it. I would really appreciate. I will say goodbye and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.